So, Doc, is it safe to say that out of all the
Is
horror...
it safe to say that I never drink wine?
Is that what he says? Does he say that?
Yes. He says that.
I remember...
I never drink wine.
So is it safe to say that of all the horror movie creatures and monsters, that the vampire is the most popular and the coolest?
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that the vampire, hands down, most popular and cooler.
Why?
I think there's just a sexual appeal. I think, with all the other monsters, you get, with zombies, Frankenstein, reanimated corpses. Yes, there is a fear factor there, and it's scary. And the wolf man, turning into an animal. The Invisible Man, and all the, of course, Martians, Creature from the Black Lagoon, any of the disfigured, Phantom of the Opera. But something about a vampire takes all of that, because a vampire is scary. We've seen all different forms of vampires. Yeah. We've seen them goofy, corny, seductive, but we've also seen them pretty terrorizing and vicious.
Oh, hell yeah.
But the one thing that a vampire has, other than maybe the Wolfman, but nobody likes a hairy guy.
No.
Hairy guys suck.
Yeah, that's me.
The vampire has a sexual appeal to it. There's something about, somebody who takes care, who has good hygiene and dresses well.
You already nailed it right on the head. Well, just the basic fact that you have a horror monster that can have a conversation with you, that can talk to you.
Yeah, it's not
and have a personality.
Yeah,
which obviously how Bela Lugosi portrayed Dracula is much different than how Christopher Lee did.
Right.
And so on and so on. And it's a character that you could put personality into. You can't put much personality into the Mummy because he's literally wrapped up. What's Frankenstein gonna go? Argh!
When you think of all the classic vampires, you mean Christopher Lee, Fright Night, Jerry Dandridge.
Oh yeah,
Jerry Dandridge, man, that was just. I wanted to be that guy when I grew up. He was just having frickin' hookers come over to the house. There was always sexy music playing. And they were just frickin' falling all over him. And all he had to do was sit there and eat apples and fucking be like Jerry Dandridge. And he was funny.
What about the Lost Boys?
Dude, what girl wasn't gaga over that group of dudes?
Yeah.
It looked like the ultimate frickin' glam rock boy band.
They even made what's the guy from Bill and Ted look cool.
Yeah.
It's exactly what you said at the beginning. It's the sex appeal.
It's the sex appeal.
And I don't think there's any other creature or monster that has sex appeal.
No, I mean, the Wolfman maybe for somebody, but who wants to deal with that shit?
Well, the thing about a Wolfman is just the guy turns into a wolf and then he's like a savage. So obviously you'd have the different stages of what a vampire could do. Say let's just say Bela Lugosi. It's okay, and he's hey, how's it? He's talking and his language, whatever he is, and then then you have the vampire, but now they got the teeth.
Yeah.
And they're gonna suck your blood, right? Or they're like a bat and flying around, right? But even when they're in their most vampire state and they got the teeth and they're about ready to.
It's still hot.
He's still it's still a good looking dude, right?
Ooh, bite me, bad boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a whole. It's the sexual element. It's the whole.
Did anyone back in the day, was that the when it came to Bela Lugosi as Dracula, was that a sexy role? Did women find him sexy back then in the 30s?
Oh God, yeah.
They did.
Yeah, I mean it was the Hungarian accent. I mean he created that whole thing. Because when you read the Bram Stoker novel, I mean, if you want to talk about somebody where they actually portray the vampire in all its guises, and some of them are pretty horrific, Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Okay.
You see Gary Oldman in all... I mean, when he shows up at the house, that's a whole new version of Dracula.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even...
And he's not attractive.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks like a frickin', dead nutsack with a frickin' wig on it. I mean, he's just... But there is still something. You got that voice. You know, he's still got that Romanian voice. So that kind of, you're like, okay, that's Dracula. But when he's the bat, when he's the wolf, I mean, there's nothing sexy about that. I mean, that's pretty damn hideous.
Yeah.
So that's a movie where they actually kind of get, you know, but then they have him, I thought he looked pretty goofy, but when they had him in his, like, gentleman, when he's walking around London with the glasses and the hat, I mean, I thought that was kind of goofy. And I saw all the video Draculas. I remember Andy Warhol's Blood of Dracula. Did you ever see that?
Oh, no, I haven't seen that.
I mean, there's a lot of bad Dracula out there. I mean, there's Dracula A.D., there's The Brides of Dracula. Dracula AD 1972, and I mean, this is when we're in like the 70s, so you get The Brides, and we're talking frickin' Garden of Eden bush.
So you may be asking yourself, how can I join the Tiki Goth Club? Well, there is no membership, there are no fees, but I have shirts for sale. They're $20 a piece, $5 shipping and handling. If you're interested, go to my website, tikiwithray.com. There's a prompt that says buy a shirt, follow that, and then that's how you can get your own. Want to impress your goth friends the next time you come over to your tiki bar? Serve them Mai-Tais out of my Tiki Goth Club glasses. They're only $15. Head over to tikiwithray.com to buy your own.
Got pretty sexy again in the 80s. He had some pretty good vampire movies. Lost Boys, Fright Night.
One of the coolest vampires, in my opinion, was the Vampire Lestat. I remember reading that book.
Yeah.
It was, there was an interview with the vampire, and then there was Vampire Lestat, Anne Rice, and remember, like, it was the 80s, and it's like, here's this vampire, but he's like rolling around in like a hot sports car, he's like wearing leather jackets, and like he's wearing sunglasses, and you're like, okay, this is a vampire that I can get behind. I feel like I have to go with Bela Lugosi as my favorite. And,
well, he's the most iconic.
But I hate to say it, but I think I'm going to plead ignorance here. But I think who would be my favorite is Christopher Lee. The reason why is because I've never had that much exposure to the Hammer films.
Hammer films, that's a whole different universe. I mean,
it is.
When you get out of Universal and you go into the Frankenstein, and I mean, all the movies are there. It is a different.
And I think the reason why is because, like, the Universal, all the classics, they're on television. You didn't have to go too far. Like, they'd be on. If it was Halloween, someone's gonna be playing the original Dracula, the original Frankenstein, the original. They're all gonna be shown. But like, but the Hammer movies, they're not gonna be shown on television because there's like full on nudity on them and stuff like that.
They're fantastic.
Yeah,
but. The first and foremost, before Dracula, and you want to talk about a grotesque vampire, was the very first vampire movie, Nosferatu.
Oh. Terrifying.
That was a silent movie, and there is nothing better. I urge anybody out there, do this. Go see Nosferatu when they have somebody playing an organ to it. Oh, there is no better experience than seeing that movie. Like, I went and saw that at the Paramount Theater.
Oh, you went and saw that?
And a guy was playing, like, the organ during the big... And I'll never forget that.
That scene...
Absolutely incredible.
The scene where the door opens up, and he's in the doorway. He's not even doing anything, but scary as shit. That image is in my mind. So what's your opinion of the Twilight series? Or are you just too old... to even have an opinion?
My give a shit meter broke. I think I did. I gave it a shot, but I think at that point, you get to a point, man, when one day you're watching The Lost Boys with your girlfriend and everything's nice and hot, and you just kind of coast through the decades, and then one day you watch Twilight and you're just kind of yelling at kids to get off your lawn. Well, the thing about Frankenstein, not that it's sexy or anything, and in the book, and they do touch on it in Kenneth Branagh's adaptation of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
The monster actually became highly intelligent.
Oh.
He started reading, and he started, when he was like hiding out in a barn near the family, and his only, real contact was a blind man, but he was reading books. And he became almost.
So So this is my imitation. It's like, oh, hey, I didn't see you there.
Madonna. Very hairy. No.
Dracula's doing it. No, Frankenstein's doing it. But for some reason he has reading glasses. So he's doing this like... Oh, sorry, I didn't see you there. Do you think like that whole slick back rockabilly hair look is inspired from Bela Lugosi?
Probably. I mean, I could see that being, trying to think, no, I don't know, maybe somebody. I don't know. It's kind of funny to think, who invented the pompadour? Who was the first one to rock a pompadour? That is something I have no knowledge of. Just one day somebody just said, hey, I want to look like Bob's Big Boy.
Yeah, before Bob's Big Boy existed. I want to look like a character from a restaurant that hasn't existed yet.
In overalls, put on some overalls.